Hello, hello. Welcome to the Midweek Reboot. It's great to have you on board. My name's Mayan, and I am looking forward to this week's session. Please drop your name, where you're from, say hi in the chats. Let me know if you're new over here. Let's see who's in with me today. We've got an interesting session ahead, and you'll be engaging. I'll ask you various questions. Let's engage. I'm assuming you can hear me. I'm audible. Sound is all good. A thumbs up if sound is all good. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. Drop it into the chats. Provide me with one word on how your week has been going thus far. How has your week been? You can drop it into the chat. We'll just wait a minute or two whilst people get into this live. Okay. And we're already into the second week of July. I hope the second half of the year has been treating you well. Tonight, we are having a working session. Bring something and think about something that's been in your head. It's been looping in your head, a decision, a dread that you're not looking forward to, running tomorrow's list in your head and solving something nobody asked you to solve. So think about that, and we're going to go through this, and I'm going to take you through a method. This is the scenario. You logged off work hours ago. Your mind did not do that. It's still working through things that happened in the day. You're lying in bed and you're replaying the conversation. You're running tomorrow's list. You're solving something nobody asked you to solve. And that's playing in your head. Now, that's the scenario we're going to use because that's things, loops that's open in your head. How do we close it? And I engage with executives and senior managers and senior leadership. I recall a couple of years ago, one of the seniors mentioned to me that she cannot rest at night, even though she's finished work, she's with her family, or she's in bed, she's still thinking about everything that happened during the day, or she's worrying about tomorrow. So, this is a very real situation that faces many people. I'm going to share my screen. Put a thumbs up if you can see the screen. I hope you can. On my side, it shows that it's on. So what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to share with you the R in the REST method. This is a method that I put together to work through such situations when you have a knot that you're trying to untangle, and a knot is synonymous to something that you're dreading. We're going to look at the first letter, R. R stands for reflect, not reflect more. I will show you exactly the method to do the reflection. And remember what I said in the beginning that some of you might have missed out on? Think about something, an actual thing that's looping in your head, that's sitting over there, that's maybe creating dread. It might be a decision, something you need to do. So think about that. and let's work through it practically. Thank you, Yesh, for confirming that you can see the screen. So everyone says you must think. And so last week I was listening to a podcast, and one of the people that was being interviewed indicated that you must make time to think. And it made me realize we're always saying you need to think, but nobody says to you how to think. There's no method that's provided for you to actually do this thinking. So, therefore, I've done this, I've shared this method in previous videos, but I wanted to revisit it because I think it will be helpful that we work through a methodology, a method of how to do this thinking. And everybody says reflect. You need to think, you need to block out time to do thinking, but nobody tells you how to do it. And without a method, you're not reflecting. Sometimes you're just obsessing, you're worrying about things, you're looking at a blank page, but you don't know where to start. There's two types of thinking or two types of reflecting. There's one where you just notice things that's happening and you're really taking the back seat in terms of this reflection. And then there's the type where you're working through it. You are deliberately, consciously working through it. And that's the type of reflection that we're looking at today, where we're going to look at how how can we systematically work through those loops, those knots in our head that's overwhelming us. Because if you have just a blank page, you're going to be overwhelmed if you don't have a process that you can work with. And when you stop reacting, your brain connects the dots that could not be reached when you were busy. So when you take time to reflect and you do it consciously, you do it deliberately, that reflection allows you to connect the dots because it's your downtime. You're doing it when you're at ease, and you've got a method that can take you seamlessly through it. Hi, Yesh. Welcome. Yesh says, work deliverables and reports that I need to get to. Stressing over those as I still have to get to them. Thanks for sharing that, Yesh. And we'll hold that because we'll come back to it as well. And when you're thinking about it, I'll open it up as well. You can just add to it how many work deliverables, how many reports, and we can work through that a little later. So, the first thing that you should do, there's 4 questions that we'll work through when you're reflecting. There's 4 questions that we will try and answer, and I say we are 1 breath each because it shouldn't be laborious, tedious, where it takes you down this rabbit hole. We want to be very strategic. We want to utilize our best energy in unraveling this knot and helping us to get to how can we move forward. So the first one is situation. Now with situation, that's where you start in one line what is actually happening. Just the facts, not everything is falling apart, or I'm so overwhelmed and stressed. That's a feeling. Now, like Yesh did in the chat, she said she's got work deliverables and reports that she needs to get to. So, those are the facts of what she needs to do. Stressing over those, it's a feeling. So, let's look at the facts. And when we get to her example a little later, she'll tell us how many work deliverables, how many reports she needs to do, and we can take her through this process. So, situation, we need to state just the facts. The overloaded mind, it tends to exaggerate. It doesn't just report. It'll go, I'm drowning. I don't have enough time for myself. I have this feeling that that nothing's moving, even though I'm working on it so hard. Those are feelings. That's how you're feeling at that moment. But what are the facts? The facts are, for example, 3 things due, none started. That's a fact. And with facts, that's something that we can work through. So for this first step, you are reporting on what you need to do. And facts are smaller than feelings. Feelings will take much more energy to deal with. But facts, you can actually have actions against it or moves against it. So the example I want to take you through as we're going through each of these 4 questions, you won't say, I am underwater, I'm drowning. The fact is, I have 3 things due this week. 2 people are waiting for it, and I've started none of them. So that's the fact. In one breath, the fact is 3 things due this week, 2 people waiting, none started. So we've identified what the situation is. The next is tension. Now you need to go underneath the facts. What is actually bothering you? What are you avoiding? The thing under the thing, if that makes sense. Because a lot of the time, it's not what shows out in the surface. The real tension is never that first thing you would name. It wears disguises. What? You dig a little deeper. So if you say no time, I have no time, it often hides, you know what? I'm afraid it will not be good enough. So when you're saying you underneath whatever you've identified, what is stopping you? What's that tension? What's creating that tension? And if you can get to the root problem, the root cause of exactly what's preventing you from doing it, then you can solve for that. Otherwise, if you're identifying what's on the top, you're actually fixing the wrong thing. Now, you're not getting to that report. You're saying you have no time, but what you're actually afraid of, it might not be good enough. So for our example of you've got 3 things and 2 people waiting, none started. And what you initially might have said is, I'm underwater, I'm drowning. Might be, I said yes to all 3 because I did not want to look like I could not cope. So you couldn't say no to them providing you with those additional deliverables or the additional report you needed to do. So you've got 3 things you're owing to people, but the reason why you feel overloaded and underwater is because you couldn't say no. And that's the tension. The third part, actually, before I go here to the third part, let me ask the room a question. What is the real tension for you? What are you avoiding? I'd like you to take something that's real in your life. We've What are you avoiding? And you can put it into the chat. Then the next one is, what is yours? Now we make it lighter. Of everything in front of you, what can you actually influence and what can you not? Name what is yours and you put down what is not yours. And a lot of the overwhelm that we carry, it's things that were never ours in the first place. So you take on things that was not actually yours. And you identify there's two piles. What can you move and what are you what are you worried about, but you can't move it because it's somebody else's, or it actually should be handed over to them. This is not mine to fix, this is somebody else's. And here you need to be accurate. And when you're identifying what's yours versus what is somebody else's, also that overwhelm becomes lighter. Yes, she indicates trying to make sure I deliver because payment and reputation hinge on it. And when you talk about deliver, I will challenge you as well, Yesh. What is yours versus what did you absorb from others? And in this part of it, what is yours? You keep that. What is others? That's where you have to hand it over, hand it back. The fourth one is, what's your next move? Not what's the entire plan, but what is the next move? We don't want, when we go into reflection, we want to have a big plan. And it's not about the whole plan. What's just the next move? The single smallest thing that moves this forward. And as I mentioned, when you have clarity and when we're reflecting, that's when we want to build a whole plan because we've got the energy to do it. But that's a trap. Don't fall into the trap. Our When we're trying to work through this, we're reflecting on what we can drop by doing it and what we can hand over. So, in the example that I've used, you've got three things to deliver on. Not do all three. Perhaps your next move would be, let's block out 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock tomorrow, and I'll start writing that first part of the report. I'll start with the heading and I'll do the introduction. Or the decision that resolves it. Let me talk to the person or message the person that I won't be able to deliver as per what we agreed to due to the other priorities, but I will deliver it in 2 more days' time. So you are renegotiating and you're being upfront as to when you can actually deliver it. So that allows you, frees you of space to actually do something or do whatever you needed to do. So you use the same 4 questions. If you have any not, and what we're saying is you look at you look at what the situation was, you look at what's the tension, what is driving it under the reasons you are the reason that you put forward, because the first reason is not actually the reason. There's something sitting underneath it. The third question that you answer is what is yours versus what is somebody else's, and the fourth question is what's the next move? What's the first smallest thing I can do to actually move this ahead? You came in underwater, but now you have the facts, the real tension. You have put down what was not yours, what is yours, and you have one move. And that's by just following these 4 questions. And the shift is nothing was added to your plate, something came off it. And when we say think, reflect, by reflecting in a methodical way, like I just took you through it, it helps to get things off your plate as opposed to sitting in the overwhelm that just drains your energy. So here's some questions. Here's the same questions, and we can apply it to different knots, different issues that we might be facing. There might be a conversation you're avoiding. So this is how it will work. The situation and the fact, not the dread. I need to tell my manager I cannot take on this project. Now that's the situation. The tension, the fear of their reaction, or that you left it too long. What's yours versus theirs? Yours is not their reaction. Their reaction would be their reaction, but yours would be what's the first sentence to actually enter this conversation? And what's the one move? The fourth question is what's the one move that will take it forward? Will be you will message the person, your manager, and ask for 15 minutes tomorrow to have this chat. 4 questions to unravel that knot. Another example, you're feeling flat and you don't know why. The situation is this: no proper break in the last 3 months. And you said yes to most of the things that came your way. No wonder you're feeling flat, but you're naming it. It's factual. It's not, I am feeling flat, which is a feeling. You're naming it. No proper break. In 3 months, I said yes to 4 things or everything that came my way. The tension might be you're running on empty and calling it, I'm in a bit of a mood. But the tension is you lost the why. Why are you doing certain things? Then the third question is what is yours? You protect one evening. You do one thing that really matters for you. And the fourth is what's the one move that I'm going to make? I'm going to have one restoring thing for myself this week. I will allocate time for myself. And you see how we unravel that knot of you feeling flat by thinking it through, by not looking at the feeling, but what were the actuals. And we solved for that. Yes, if you can put it into the chat, and whoever's here, thank you for joining. Let's do a real one. Let's take a situation that you're let's deal with this a knot that you're facing. Yesh spoke about work deliverables and reports that she needs to get to. So she's naming it, right? So that's the situation. What do you think would be the tension behind it? Kelisha says, this is a super interesting live. So sad I missed the beginning, but I'm hoping you will put this live up so I can catch the beginning again. Welcome, Kelisha. We're talking about R, which is reflect in my rest method. And I'm taking you through the four questions that you need to ask yourself when you're reflecting, because so often we tend to say think, or we want to think, and we are there's a blank page ahead of us and in front of us, and we are so overwhelmed, and we get overwhelmed because we don't know where to begin to reflect and to think, and we add much more to our plates. So this is a system, it's a method that you can utilize to help you think things through. And I'm using a Yesh's example to take us through how we can do this. Yesh says the tension. So she has to deliver. The situation is there's work deliverables and reports that she needs to get to. The tension is the subordinate is not delivering as per client requirements, and I have to report to the client on progress. So the tension over there, if we scratch a little further, is we possibly that might be a reflection on yourself if you don't deliver to the client. Then we take the next question. What is yours versus what should you hand back? So yes, if we go through your scenario, what is yours versus what is theirs? What can you hand back? And whilst Yesh does that, Kelisha, we will definitely make this live available, and you can. I provided a summary if for those who just joined as well, so you can work through your own knots, be it in a professional environment, be it in life in general. You look at the facts versus the feeling, and you work through that in accordance. Thank you, Yesh. I'm making you work this evening, right? And I appreciate your responses. So the her response to what is yours. They need to be accountable for the work they need to deliver. It's a wrong placement on the project by the overall director. So this here gives you an indication of future projects. But when you look at what is yours, then you identify, and there might be dependencies as well. But in terms of lightening your load, what is actually yours that you keep and what is not? So, for example, it might mean to have a discussion with the director in terms of timelines. I don't know your situation. I'm just using the scenario that timelines might need to be need to be revisited, or the client, have a discussion with the client. That's not yours. That is the next person's, the director's role to have that discussion with the client. So identify what's yours versus what is somebody else's, and allocate, if it's somebody else's, then what is the realistic thing for you to do versus you, and what you need to hand over. Then the fourth one is, what's your next move based on everything? So, Yesh, this year is directed to you since we're using your example. What is the next move in terms of this? And just a reminder, her scenario is she's got work deliverables and reports that she needs to get to, but the person, the subordinate, is not doing their part and is not delivering. So it's impacting on this, on what the client requires. And we also realize that the tension behind the subordinate not delivering is also Yesh's reputation. So she needs to identify what is hers versus what is somebody else's. And here, without knowing the actuals, it might be that they need to look at timelines. They need to have she needs to have that discussion with the director to engage with the client in terms of the timelines. And Yesha's next move that she put down is damage control with the client, directed to intervene on work not done by the subordinate. So your next move would be to um, set up time with the director to actually indicate what the problems are on the project, and for him or her to have a discussion with the client. So, in doing that, it actually helps you to move this forward, takes one thing off your plate instead of you sitting and worrying about not being able to deliver. You need to pull in your director to take requisite action where it's required. So, Yesh, I'm not sure if that process helped you think through how to unravel that one knot. Yesh says, perfect. Thanks for helping me think it through. And thank you, Yesh, for bringing a real example from your professional life that we could work through. So it's not academic, it's not theoretic. When you need to reflect, you use those four questions: identify the situation, identify what the tension is, what is yours, and what is your next move. And when you work through this, it allows you to move one step forward. Remember, I said we're not doing an entire plan, we're just trying to identify what's that one step and the one move to move us forward. And this was the R from the rest method. And in the next 3 weeks, I'm going to deal with the E, S, and T. There's, as I mentioned earlier, there's a video on the reflect, on reflect, and I take you through how it should be done, how you can do it, and you can also look at this live, which becomes a video, and work through it yourself. Remember, I come to you live every Wednesday for the midweek reboot. at 8 p.m. South African time. So I'll catch you then. Also, I put out videos on a Monday and a Friday. And before we end this, I used this deck and I did a video on it on Monday. Literally, what I did was I thought through what I wanted to present. I used Claude to help me think through what I wanted to get through during this live. Thereafter, I took my notes and what I engaged with Claude, I took it into Claude Design. And it might have taken me 5-10 minutes the most to actually develop these set of slides. 10 minutes the most in terms of putting this together. So have a look at that video as well. As professionals, you want to save time. If you look at the quality of these slides, really, it looks really sleek, really good to present even at work. So whatever your subject might be, and remember, slides are just an aid. So whatever your content is, and if you've got large documents as well, take it. You can use Claude Design. You have to have the paid version to utilize Claude Design. But if you have that paid version, it actually saves you so much time. They're not paying me to punt it, but from my side, it's about what works the best. How can we do more with less time? How can we save time? So this year works. I thought, let me just add that to the live. If you've got Claude Design, try it out. Just look at the chats. Yesh says, thanks for another great one. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Yesh. Kalisha says, wow, thanks for the plug. I'll definitely be sure to try Claude Design. Absolutely. It's about working smarter, allowing AI to work for you. And that's what my Monday videos are about. I try to look at different ways that we can work smarter by utilizing AI. Loshni says, thank you for this helpful live. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next week. And always remember, you matter.